I transmigrated into a web novel character and ended up as a mere bystander in a villainous-centric story, after discovering that the designated villainess of this tale was destined to become nothing but a pathetic stepping stone for the main leads before meeting her tragic demise. My protective instincts completely took over. Ignoring the system's warnings, I chose to become her savior. All it takes is for her affection level toward me to reach 100%, and she can break free from her doomed villainous fate in the book, transforming into a completely ordinary person and living a peaceful, normal life in this world. As for me, I would secure a massive $5 million bounty from the system to live a life of absolute luxury and freedom upon returning to my original world. Thus, I became a loyal shadow, constantly hovering by Shen Xiaowei's side, never leaving her. Her workload at the company was incredibly overwhelming, so I applied to be her personal assistant just to shoulder her heavy burdens, because her frequent overtime hours caused her constant backaches and shoulder fatigue. I spent my own money to fly to Thailand, solely to master the country's most elite massage techniques, just so that whenever she felt unwell, I could soothe her shoulders and massage her feet. When she casually mentioned in the dead of night that she craved wonton noodles, and with absolutely no taxis available, I didn't hesitate to brave the torrential rain, walking 10 grueling kilometers just to buy them for her. But just as my grueling efforts finally raised her affection score to 99, everything shattered. The male lead forcefully kissed her right in front of my very eyes, and unexpectedly, her affection level instantly plummeted straight to absolute zero. The system helplessly asked me, "This is the third time already. Do you still want to continue?" My heart had grown as cold as dead ashes. I repeatedly shook my head. "No more. Please just take me back home. I miss my mother." The exact moment I plunged downward, Shen Xiaowei looked up in utter disbelief, staring at me with a face full of sheer panic. After that, she completely discarded her prestigious image as the nation's beloved top actress, dropping to her knees on the ground, begging me not to abandon her. 3 days prior, I had accompanied Shen Xiaowei to attend her high school reunion. During the entire banquet, the male lead, Lu Ming, played a game of truth or dare, forcing him to choose an opposite-gender guest, right there kiss. He instantly locked eyes on none other than my very own fiancée, Shen Xiaowei. Witnessing this, Shen Xiaowei's circle of friends turned their gazes toward me one after another, teasing, "It's just a game. Surely our dear brother-in-law won't mind it, right?" Shen Xiaowei rested her hand heavily upon my shoulder, speaking up a step ahead of me. "Don't pull this disgusting, repulsive stunt with me." This harsh display sent a visible shiver through her friends, who remarked on how incredibly lucky I was to have captured the gaze of a mega superstar like Shen Xiaowei. However, they had absolutely no idea that at that exact moment my shoulder was being fiercely squeezed by Shen Xiaowei to the point of agonizing pain. When I cast a desperate, pleading glance directly at her face, she was instead staring intensely and unblinkingly at Lu Ming, completely and utterly oblivious to my distress. Lu Ming was the ultimate campus heartthrob back in their school days, and now the entire crowd was chanting in unison, urging him, "Hurry up and give her a passionate kiss." Lu Ming's eyes brimmed with unshed, glistening tears as he forced out a fragile, strained smile, yet his peripheral vision remained completely fixed upon the two of us. A girl who had failed in her pursuit of Lu Ming years ago tightly grabbed his hand, declaring, "If Shen Xiaowei refuses, no problem, you still have me." Laughing like a completely infatuated fool, she aggressively leaned her body directly toward Lu Ming. Shen Xiaowei lowered her head, picking up a freshly peeled tangerine segment and stuffing it into her mouth. She even broke off another juicy piece to feed directly into my mouth. But right then, I suddenly noticed the affection meter floating above her head was rapidly plummeting. I instantly realized her heart was aching with profound grief, and she was merely using me as a tool to distract herself from the pain. Lu Ming choked back his tears. Finally, just as that infatuated girl was about to touch him, he violently pushed her away and screamed at the top of his lungs, "I absolutely refuse." The tangerine segment Shen Xiaowei was about to feed me, abruptly froze right against the corner of my lips. Then, everyone watched as Lu Ming confessed with deep, burning passion. In my heart, for all these agonizing years, there's always only been one person. I know she's already on the verge of marriage. But today I still want to be brave, just this once. Having said his piece, Lu Ming stormed forward, aggressively shoving me aside, cupping Shen Xiaowei's face and passionately planting a kiss on her. Shen Xiaowei didn't put up a single shred of resistance. In fact, the exact moment Lu Ming attempted to pull away, she actually pulled him tightly back into her embrace. After the entire room fell into a suffocating, dead silence, a deafening, thunderous roar of cheers suddenly erupted through the room. Some guests even whipped out their phones to snap pictures, while the system right beside me shrieked at the top of its lungs, "Hey, villainous! Do you even remember that you actually have a boyfriend right now?" Unfortunately, aside from me, absolutely no one else could hear its frantic voice. Meanwhile, the jarring warning alarms inside my head kept repeating in a piercing, ear-splitting loop. Affection meter has dropped to 0. Affection meter has dropped to absolute 0. The two of them intensely locked lips for 2.5 agonizing minutes before finally breaking apart. By then, both were panting heavily for breath, their eyes deeply glued to each other. The very next second, right in front of every single person present, Shen Xiaowei grabbed Lu Ming's hand and stormed out of the venue. The system, utterly dejected, asked me, "Your affection mission has failed for the third time. Host, do you still wish to continue?" I let out a bitter, hollow laugh and shook my head. No more. I just want to go home. From the corner of my eye, I noticed Shen Xiaowei's footsteps abruptly falter for a fleeting moment. But in the end, she still walked away without ever looking back. She had completely abandoned me in front of the entire crowd. By the time I finally made my way out of the banquet hall, Shen Xiaowei's luxury car had long since vanished without a single trace. Since this area was incredibly secluded, I had no choice but to walk all the way back home. Car after car sped past me, kicking up dust in their wake. Those who despised me purposely pulled over just to mock me ruthlessly, calling me a shameless, pathetic loser. I've been sick of your fawning, pathetic behavior for a long time now. Know your place, stay a low-life assistant, and stop harboring those delusional, impossible fantasies. You just took advantage of Lu Ming's absence to steal his girl, you absolute scumbag. Having spewed their venom, they deliberately revved their engine, forcing a cloud of thick exhaust smoke right into my face. I pulled out a wet wipe to clean my face, casually wiping away the stray tears while doing so. I never had any intention of stealing anyone's girl. When I first transmigrated into this web novel, Lu Ming had already abandoned Shen Xiaowei a long time ago in order to go abroad and get engaged to the female lead Gu Hanmo. The system explicitly told me that as long as I raised Shen Xiaowei's affection meter to a perfect 100%, I would be able to completely rewrite her destined, tragic doom. And I could also bring a massive $5 million bounty back home. Yet, I have already attempted to win her heart for the third time now. During my very first attempt, Shen Xiaowei was trapped inside a massive, raging fire, caused by a critical error made by the production crew. I risked my own life to drag her out of the inferno. But the moment she woke up, she suffered from total amnesia and mistakenly branded me as the mastermind behind the disaster, unleashing a torrent of public online hate against me. During the second attempt, she finally agreed to lower her guard and consented to marry me. I dedicated my entire soul to planning the perfect wedding for over 6 months. But right on the day of our wedding, Lu Ming called her while sobbing uncontrollably, whining that he had a stomachache. Without hesitation, she completely abandoned me and instantly booked the earliest flight abroad just to nurse him back to health. Back then, I could have easily blamed the failure on the fact that her affection meter was only at 60%. But this time around, even when her affection score soared to 99, it still couldn't escape the cruel destiny of crashing back to absolute 0. The system gently consoled me, saying, "Look on the bright side. There are only 10 days left until you can finally return home. However, because your departure defies the natural laws of this world, you will have to endure a small amount of backlash before you can leave. I let out a bitter, weary chuckle. I've been relentlessly tormented for this long already. Do you honestly think I'm still afraid of pain? The very next day, because Shun Xiaowei had a demanding filming schedule, I arrived at the set incredibly early. Since I was already fully prepared to pack up and return to my world, I had zero intention of causing trouble for anyone anymore. However, Shun Xiaowei was profoundly late. I relentlessly called her phone for an entire hour, but absolutely no one picked up. The director didn't dare unleash his explosive fury on a massive star like Shun Xiaowei, so he had no choice but to vent all his intense frustration on me. You're her personal assistant. Are you seriously telling me you didn't think to contact her beforehand? I repeatedly bowed my head and offered deep apologies, opening WeChat to fire off text after urgent text, desperately asking her exactly when she would arrive. Out of sheer habit, I was deeply worried about the fate of her career. This specific film project was immensely crucial to her success. If she delivered a flawless performance, it would grant her enough leverage to secure the prestigious Best Actress award that she had desperately yearned for over the past 4 years. Furthermore, the director was an extremely powerful, high-profile figure in the industry. Offending him would guarantee her a brutal time ahead. Right when I was pacing around, panicking like an ant, on a scorching hot pan, the director walked over and coldly informed me that Shun Xiaowei had already requested a formal leave of absence from him. She claimed she was tied up with urgent matters today and couldn't make it to the set. Shun Xiaowei commands an impeccable reputation in the industry, and given her elite status, the director swallowed her excuse instantly. Nevertheless, the production crew had already incurred massive losses. The director fired off the expense sheet straight to her talent manager, demanding full compensation. The moment her manager caught wind of the situation, she shifted the entire blame for the financial disaster squarely onto my shoulders, immediately docking 3 months of my salary as a harsh warning. She even broadcasted this penalty across Shun Xiaowei's corporate chat group to make an absolute example out of me. Yet, Shun Xiaowei didn't utter a single syllable to defend or clear my name. She chose absolute, chilling silence. At exactly 2:30 in the afternoon, Lu Ming flexed a brand new status update on his social feed. In the photo, the two of them had their fingers tightly intertwined, captioned with a smug boast. Got bored, so I made our future Best Actress, Shun Xiaowei, lie and skip work just to come out and play with me. Beneath the post, a flood of comments rapidly poured in. Now this is the ultimate power couple, a match literally made in heaven. Wishing you 2 eternal happiness. Together. Don't give that pathetic Gu Jian guy any chance to fish in troubled waters ever again. Less than 5 seconds after that comment surfaced, another user posted a deeply scornful reply. So what if he tries to fish in troubled waters? Even after 4 agonizing years, he couldn't even secure a tiny piece of Xiaowei's heart. What an absolute, pathetic loser. Shun Xiaowei completely ignored the vicious, mocking comments aimed at destroying me, and instead left her own reply right below. As long as it makes you happy, I'll do absolutely anything for you. She brazenly and publicly flaunted her toxic devotion to Lu Ming, completely indifferent to the humiliating insults hurled at me. I finally hit my limit and fired off a text straight to her, demanding to know why she hadn't given me a single heads up about her sudden leave of absence. I'm not just some random assistant to you. I am supposed to be your actual boyfriend. This time, Shun Xiaowei shot back an instant, cold reply. You are just an assistant. I'm under absolutely no obligation to run every little detail by you. I let out a hollow, bitter laugh. Wow, just an assistant. For Lu Ming's sake, a woman who had never once skipped a single day of work suddenly vanished for 3 whole days, and now she was aggressively drawing a line in the sand with me. Clearly, in the depths of her heart, there is absolutely no one and nothing in this entire world that holds more weight than Lu Ming. I couldn't even bring myself to reply. Every single notification connected to her became entirely worthless to me. It's time to officially resign. The following day, when I arrived at the agency to see the talent manager, I accidentally crossed paths with Lu Ming. He knit his brows, rubbing his shoulder as he raised his head, clearly about to launch into a fierce scolding. However, the moment he recognized it was me, He instantly choked back his words. Instead, his eyes darted down, and with lightning-fast reflexes, he snatched up the formal resignation letter I had accidentally dropped onto the floor. Scanning the document, he let out a gasp of exaggerated astonishment. Xiaowei merely requested a little leave of absence to hang out with me. That's all. Why on earth are you throwing a dramatic tantrum and demanding to resign? With just a single, calculated sentence, he successfully branded me as an insanely petty, unreasonable drama king. I am incredibly sorry about this, Jian. We just stayed out way too late and were totally exhausted, which is why I asked her to request some time off to join me. In the heat of the moment, she completely forgot to give you a heads up. Please don't worry. We won't let something like this happen again. We will absolutely notify you well in advance so you won't be caught in an awkward position. Oh, and regarding those vicious comments on my social feed last night, they were pretty harsh, so please don't take them to heart. Okay? The truth is, I am profoundly grateful to you for staying by Xiaowei's side all these years and taking such phenomenal care of her. Lu Ming flashed a brilliant, blindingly charismatic smile. Radiating pure generosity. I offered a faint smile in return, intending to pull my hand back, but he suddenly locked his fingers around it in a vice-like grip. At that, my gaze instantly turned ice cold. Without a single moment of hesitation, I channeled all my physical strength and violently slapped him straight across his smug face. I didn't overthink the consequences. I simply refused to have any further association with this toxic piece of trash. Right on Lu Ming's face, a vibrant, crimson handprint immediately flared up. Clutching his bruised cheek, he stared at me in absolute, utter disbelief, just as he raised his fist to retaliate. Shen Xiaowei's sharp, furious shriek echoed from directly behind us. Lu Ming, what on earth do you think you're doing? I watched with complete indifference as Shen Xiaowei threw herself in front of me. He pointed directly at his own face. Xiaowei, he's the one who assaulted me first. He insulted me, calling me a shameless bastard who steals other people's girlfriends. And then he slapped me. I was just so blinded by fury that I wanted to hit back, which is the exact moment you happened to walk in. Shen Xiaowei, operating almost purely on raw instinct, unconditionally swallowed Lu Ming's lies whole. She gently reached out to caress his bruised cheek, her voice dripping with tender concern. I knew I misunderstood you. Does it hurt terribly? She gently wiped away Lu Ming's pathetic tears, shielding him protectively. Behind her back before turning her ice-cold gaze on me, demanding an apology. I gripped my teeth hard, refusing to utter a single syllable. Shen Xiaowei let out a disdainful scoff. You're the one who is morally bankrupt here. How do you even have the audacity to show your anger? The system, completely unable to watch this farce unfold any longer, shrieked at Shen Xiaowei. From the sidelines, if you're completely blind, go get medical help. On what basis? Do you unconditionally swallow every single word that comes out of his mouth, yet choose to completely distrust your actual boyfriend? Back then, Lu Ming abandoned you to get hitched with Gu Hanmo abroad. Have you completely suffered from amnesia? It was Jian who saved your pathetic life when you tried to commit suicide. You literally swore before. That Gu Jian was your absolute and only salvation in this entire universe. Did you completely wipe that from your memory? Just wait and see the moment Jian actually vanishes from your life forever. You will weep tears of pure regret. Shen Xiaowei let out a subtle, mocking sneer. In my heart, there's only ever Lu Ming. As for anyone else, I couldn't care less. The moment those words slipped past her lips, not only was I stunned, but even the system frozen in absolute shock. How on earth? It's like she actually heard what I just said. I chose to remain completely silent. Letting out a heavy sigh, I nonchalantly stated, I'm sorry, Lu Ming. He looked slightly taken aback. I didn't bother analyzing the shift in his facial expression. Turning back to focus on Shen Xiaowei. You're entirely right. I am completely morally bankrupt, so I'm naturally utterly unworthy of being your assistant. Therefore, I am officially resigning. The smug expression on Shen Xiaowei's face froze in a split second, and her confident smile gradually turned bone-chillingly cold. Are you actually serious? I didn't bother to answer, brushing right past her shoulder. She made a move to chase after me, but Lu Ming instantly grabbed her by the arm, holding her back. Xiaowei, he's just playing mind games and bluffing. How could a pathetic guy like him ever actually bring himself to leave your side? Hearing that, Shun Xiaowei predictably halted her steps. I let out a highly sarcastic chuckle, not giving a single damn. Whether it's a bluff or reality, time will eventually tell. Once the resignation papers were formally submitted, and my duties were completely handed over, night had already fallen. At this exact moment, my state of mind felt absolutely flawless, because in just a few short days, I would finally be returning home, to reunite with the mother I hadn't seen in ages. She is truly the only woman in this entire universe who loves me unconditionally. Yet the very second I stepped foot outside the company doors, my chest suddenly seized up with a wave of agonizing, excruciating pain. The system materialized, warning me that this was the brutal backlash I had to endure before finally returning home. I collapsed onto the pavement, waiting a long time for the pain to subside, when I suddenly remembered that a tiny kitten was still waiting at home. That little stray was an animal I rescued when I first arrived in this world, during those dark days when Shun Xiaowei didn't love me back. That kitten was my absolute and only source of comfort. Without its presence, I fear I would have completely lost my mind long ago. Reaching the apartment, I unlocked the door from sheer memory, only to discover that the entire home had been radically altered. My slippers at the entrance were entirely gone. Not only that, but even a framed photo of the two of us on the TV stand, along with the small succulents I grew in the kitchen, had been completely thrown away. In their place stood a freshly displayed photo of Shun Xiaowei and Lu Ming together, surrounded by the specific type of roses that Lu Ming absolutely adored. Stunned and panicked, I dashed straight toward the cat room. Every single piece of pet furniture and equipment inside had been entirely cleared out, brutally transformed into a dedicated gaming room for Lu Ming. I desperately scavenged through the entire apartment, searching from the inside out, but found absolutely no trace of my kitten. With a sharp click, the front door swung open. Both of them froze in absolute shock when their eyes locked onto me. Consumed by pure fury, I stormed forward to confront them, roaring, "Where the hell is my cat?" Lu Ming merely flashed a completely indifferent smirk. "I'm severely allergic to cat dander, so I threw out last night." I was shaking with sheer rage, aggressively grabbing him by his collar. "Where exactly did you dump it?" Strangled by my grip, Lu Ming coughed violently, crocodile tears once again welling up in the corners of his eyes. Shun Xiaowei aggressively reached out to pry my hands off him, but I immediately lashed out, hitting her with a powerful, resounding slap. "Why the hell did you let him discard my cat? Did you raise that animal? Are you seriously that desperate to bring this pathetic boy into your home?" Shun Xiaowei, you are truly completely beyond saving. Hearing this, Shun Xiaowei forcefully pried my hands off Lu Ming's collar, then gently raised her hand to brush away a stray tear from the corner of my eye. I glared back at her with pure hatred. "If anything happens to my cat, I swear neither of you will ever know peace again." Sensing my volatile state, Shun Xiaowei panicked, softening her voice to soothe me. "Don't be angry. I'll personally take you to go search for your cat right now, okay?" The security footage showed the cat being violently dragged into a car by Lu Ming. I watched the monitor intensely as the recording revealed the poor kitten digging its claws desperately into the pavement, viciously resisting being taken away by Lu Ming. Yet Lu Ming still relentlessly dragged it into the vehicle without a shred of remorse. I turned my piercing, ice-cold gaze squarely onto Lu Ming and commanded, "Lead the way. I'm driving." I took the wheel while Lu Ming reluctantly barked out directions from the passenger seat the entire trip, ultimately bringing us straight to a wretched slaughterhouse. The entire compound was filthy, choked with an unbearable, suffocating stench. Shun Xiaowei choked back her vomit as she trailed behind me, while I could already hear the desperate cries of trapped dogs and cats from deep inside, sounding utterly miserable and heartbroken, as if pleading for their owners to rescue them from this living hell. My heart hammered against my ribs in a mounting, frenzied panic, terrified that my kitten had already met a gruesome, untimely end. After securing the owner's permission, I charged inside to scavenge the pens. The number of animals trapped within wasn't overwhelmingly large, but every single one of them appeared profoundly emaciated and broken. There were dozens of cats wailing in agony, and I searched relentlessly from the dead of night until the break of dawn, but still found no sign of it. The system let out a heavy, solemn sigh to console me, saying, maybe in a few years, after this kitten passes on and enters reincarnation, shortly after you return to your world, you'll be able to raise it properly. I grit my teeth fiercely. I refused to wait until its next life. For 24, just as I fell into utter, hollow despair, the slaughterhouse owner pointed. Ultimately, just as I was spiraling into pure, hollow despair, the owner pointed toward a dark, forgotten corner and asked, "Is that the animal you're looking for?" I whipped my head around, following the line of his finger, to find the tiny kitten curled up in the corner, completely motionless. I choked back a sob, softly calling out its name, but the little kitten didn't give a single shred of response. I stumbled forward to touch its fragile body, only to realize that its breath had long since departed. In that exact moment, I utterly shattered, weeping uncontrollably. If only I had tracked it down sooner, I could have brought it back alive. The more the agonizing realization sank in, the louder I wailed, verging on the brink of passing out from pure grief. Shun Xiaowei, her expression heavy with guilt, pulled me tightly into her embrace. "It's okay. It's fine. We can easily get another cat, you know? In a little bit, we can go adopt a brand new pet together, all right?" Yet, filling my nostrils completely, was the aggressive scent of the luxury perfume radiating off Shun Xiaowei's skin. I instantly recognized it as the exact iris fragrance that Lu Ming absolutely worshipped. My expression went totally numb as I violently shoved her away. "There is absolutely no need." Shun Xiaowei forcefully grabbed my shoulders, spinning me back around, to lock eyes with her, demanding an answer. "Why? Why on earth have you become so incredibly cold and distant toward me now? Do you truly no longer feel even a single spark of affection or heartbeat for me anymore?" I flashed a hollow, nonchalant smile, only finding these desperate words pouring from her lips to be utterly and completely laughable. The slaughterhouse owner abruptly chimed in. "Hey, inside that luxury ride of yours, someone has been relentlessly bashing the window, looking like they're in a massive, frantic rush." The moment Shun Xiaowei heard this, she instantly spun around and sprinted frantically back toward the car. At the exact millisecond her figure retreated, my chest seized up once again with a violent, agonizing spasm. Amidst the panicked, distorted screams of the system, my vision faded completely to black, and I plunged into absolute unconsciousness. I have no idea how long I drifted, but the absolute second I opened my eyes, the very first thing I heard was the fiercely trembling, rage-filled voice of Shun Xiaowei. "Severe heart failure. The doctor explicitly stated you don't have much longer to live. Why on earth did you keep this a secret from me? Do you even consider me your actual girlfriend at all?" "Huh." Shun Xiaowei collapsed onto a seat nearby, her eyes completely bloodshot, as her fingers white-knuckled the medical diagnosis sheet. I merely offered a completely hollow, nonchalant smile. "Isn't this fantastic? This way, absolutely no one will ever stand in the way of you and Lu Ming being together again." Shun Xiaowei's pupils dilated and trembled violently. "So, you had already planned out everything to completely abandon me, haven't you? On what absolute basis do you get to treat me like this?" I lower my gaze. Perhaps there was a time when I genuinely, deeply loved Shun Xiaowei, but that is all ancient history. Now, my cold, dead eyes indifferently traced the frantic lines of Shun Xiaowei's features, purely on the basis that time and time again, you shamelessly chose Lu Ming right in front of my very eyes. You simply don't deserve me anymore. I checked out of this relationship a long time ago. Shun Xiaowei. Tears uncontrollably spilled down her cheeks. I reached up, gently wiping away her streaming tears. "You honestly should be celebrating. I'm finally out of the picture, meaning you can finally fly away into the sunset with him. Can't you?" Shun Xiaowei suddenly lost all control and screamed directly at my face. "Every single thing I did over the past few days was nothing but a calculated act for your benefit. Did you seriously not see through it at all? I deliberately spat out that you were merely my assistant, and I purposely forced you to apologize to him. Why on earth can't you see through the script? The person I've been desperately in love with this entire time is you. I know all about that system of yours. I know that the very second my affection score for you reaches a perfect 100%, you will instantly vanish from this world forever. I absolutely refuse to let you leave me, which is exactly why I force myself to treat you with such cold, cruel indifference, deliberately crashing my own affection levels down to zero. But I never anticipated that even if your affection meter didn't hit a perfect 100, you would still find a way to return to your original world. And now, this system of yours is on the verge of taking you back, isn't it? The system hovering silently right next to me didn't dare utter a single sound. We both panted heavily, locking eyes in a suffocating, tense silence, until Lu Ming abruptly pushed the door open and barged inside. Xiaowei, every single word that just poured out of your mouth. Was it all actually true? Right in front of his face, I deliberately yanked Shun Xiaowei into my space and planted a cold, sudden kiss on her lips. Everything that came out of his pathetic mouth was nothing but a complete lie. Shun Xiaowei's eyes instantly ignited with a brilliant, hopeful spark. But the exact moment she eagerly tried to lean closer, I forcefully shoved her away. Didn't you claim you're absolutely terrified of me leaving your side? Fine then. Command him to drop to his knees and kowtow on the floor, begging my dead kitten for forgiveness before he completely gets out of my sight. Shun Xiaowei instantly lowered her head, buried in a heavy, speechless silence. Staring at her tight-lipped, paralyzed state, I knew right then and there that she simply didn't have the guts to enforce it. Lu Ming's eyes instantly welled up with a fresh wave of dramatic tears. That's right. You know damn well just how deeply and desperately I love Xiaowei. For long years ago, my departure abroad was nothing more than a petty, emotional tantrum I threw because of her. But look at you, what an opportunistic leech. You seized that exact vulnerability to worm your way between us. The entire world dragged your name through the mud, calling you a shameless homewrecker, and I was the one who personally shut them up to protect your reputation. If I hadn't stepped in, you would have been completely ripped apart and publicly crucified online long ago. You had clearly already made up your mind to finally let go. So why on earth are you still desperately clawing onto Xiaowei and refusing to set her free? Choking through his theatrical sobs, Lu Ming actually dropped straight to his knees on the floor. Consider this my absolute begging. Can you please just give Xiaowei back to me? Shun. Xiaowei panicked at the sight and instantly reached down to help him back up. But her touch was violently shunned as Lu Ming twisted his body away, keeping his sharp, unblinking gaze completely locked onto me. If you are absolutely unwilling to grant me your forgiveness, then I swear I will never stand up from this floor. The hospital room door was wide open, and the crowd of bystanders passing by outside witnessed him kneeling pathetically on the hard floor, instantly painting me as the ultimate cold-blooded villain of the story. Shun Xiaowei dropped to one knee, wrapping her arms protectively around Lu Ming. He has already dropped to his knees and obeyed your exact demand. Is your twisted thirst for vengeance still not satisfied? I narrowed my dead eyes, looking down at his pathetic display. Since you are so determined to shield this toxic piece of trash, then why don't you just drop down and kneel alongside him? Consider it a formal penance on his behalf. Hearing this, the warmth in Shun Xiaowei's eyes instantly vanished, turning bone-chillingly cold. I let out a harsh, mocking sneer. And this is what you call your profound, undying love for me, when you aren't even willing to drop to your knees for my sake. I don't need a single shred of your toxic affection. Now get the hell out of here, and stop wasting my damn time. Ever since Shun Xiaowei first set foot into the entertainment industry, she had been fiercely worshipped and coddled by everyone around her. With me joining her life, she was elevated even higher, endlessly pampered and shielded from reality. When on earth has she ever had to endure such a humiliating ego check? She absolutely despised bowing her head, her face flushing crimson from suppressed rage. Yet, she still expected to have it both ways. But life doesn't work that way. Staring at Lu Ming's utterly pathetic, aggrieved state, paired with the sheer terror of losing his grip on Shun Xiaowei, brought a wave of immense satisfaction to my chest. Enough! Shun Xiaowei suddenly erupted with a furious shriek. In the end, she still couldn't bear to watch Lu Ming endure an ounce of suffering. She hoisted him back up. We are dropping this entire matter right now. At the end of the day, it was nothing more than a common stray cat. I will personally track down an exact replica and gift it to you later. Lu Ming is currently battling a severe headache and isn't well, so he absolutely will not be kowtowing to you. I reached out with lightning speed, yanking her close by the collar, and delivered a vicious, resounding slap straight across her face. Shen Xiaowei, you are truly an absolute, subhuman piece of garbage. Shen Xiaowei's expression turned progressively lethal and detached. Her remaining patience entirely evaporated. She spun around, grabbed Lu Ming's hand, and stormed right out of the room. Over the course of the next few days, whether Shen Xiaowei was shooting on a movie set or attending high-profile brand events, she consistently paraded Lu Ming right by her side. Within seconds, the toxic shipping fandom dedicated to their couple status exploded across the internet, growing into an absolute juggernaut. Oh my god! So Lu Ming stepped away from the industry solely to be with Shen Xiaowei. They look so incredibly sweet and perfect together. Our ultimate ship has finally sailed for real. Is Lu Ming seriously never making a showbiz comeback? I'm literally dying to watch them star in a romance drama together. Shen Xiaowei fully weaponized the surging public obsession, aggressively mapping out high-profile schedules to boost Lu Ming. Out of nowhere, the explosive hype surrounding this couple skyrocketed without limits, culminating in the grand announcement of multiple joint luxury product endorsement contracts. It was only in the dead of night that Shen Xiaowei would creep into the hospital room to visit me. She would stare at me intensely, constantly demanding, "Why? Why don't you look even a single bit devastated or upset by this?" I gave her absolutely no reaction or feedback whatsoever. The next time I crossed paths with Lu Ming was when he joined a live-streamed reality show to orchestrate his official comeback. One of the main locations for their on-screen mission happened to be the exact hospital where I was currently recovering. Before the live stream officially commenced, he and Shen Xiaowei walked into my room holding a gift basket. "Jian, it's been a really long time, Xiaowei, and I specially picked out this gift to visit you. I genuinely hope you won't reject it." When the crew and staff glanced over and locked eyes with me, every single one of their expressions became incredibly bizarre. Although Shen Xiaowei and I had always kept our romance tightly under wraps, whispers and rumors within the industry regarding our secret relationship had occasionally managed to leak out to the public. However, every single piece of evidence had been aggressively and single-handedly shot down by her delusional fanbase. The camera lens for the live broadcast quickly panned over, aiming directly at the three of us. I flatly refused to touch his fruit basket. No thanks. Right now, my body is in no condition to tolerate fresh fruit. Mr. Lu, before you bring gifts to a critically ill patient, do you not bother doing a single shred of basic research? Lu Ming froze solid for a split second, but rapidly forced his flawless, charming smile back onto his face. I'm incredibly sorry about that. Have you had lunch yet? Let me ask Xiaowei to step out and buy a proper meal for you. Shen Xiaowei stared intensely at me, her eyes completely drowning in desperate longing. The very next second, she declared in an absolute, authoritative tone, "I'll go buy it myself." The moment she stepped out of the room to fetch lunch, the unshed tears in Lu Ming's eyes instantly vanished, replaced by a profoundly mocking, arrogant smirk. Seriously, how are you a bigger drama king than actual actors, faking a terminal heart failure diagnosis just to guilt trip and manipulate Xiaowei into giving you attention? Even I almost lost to your pathetic little stunt. But let's be real, a home-wrecking third wheel will always remain a pathetic third wheel. Xiaowei is never, ever going to love a loser like you. If you want my advice, pack your bags and beat it the second you're discharged. Otherwise, I will personally ensure you're completely blacklisted and ruined in this industry. I honestly couldn't help but marvel at his audacity. His decision to leave showbiz 4 years ago was a true tragedy for the arts. Just based on how lightning fast he flips his personality, the guy has enough raw talent to secure a Best Actor trophy, wouldn't you say? I aggressively lashed out, landing a fierce slap across his face, then grabbed him by the hair, yanking him downward. Pulling him close to my mouth, I growled a low, chilling warning into his ear. "Do you seriously need me to refresh your pathetic memory on the exact scandalous reason you fled back to this country? No? Why don't you try guessing exactly where Gu Hanmo is right now? Are you dying to reunite with that lovely, devoted wife of yours?" Lu Ming let out a sharp, agonizing shriek of pain, his face instantly contorting into sheer terror, though he still tried to play tough. "That's nothing but a pathetic, bluffing threat. Do you honestly think I'm scared of you?" I let out a low, sinister chuckle. "Oh, then you just sit tight and watch, because I've orchestrated an absolutely exquisite masterpiece of show just for you." The moment the words left my lips, I shifted my gaze toward the entrance of the ward. Stepping slowly and deliberately through the doorway was a slender, striking woman, her eyes completely radiating a lethal, venomous chill, and her voice cutting through the air like shard of ice. "Lu Ming, you certainly made me spend a miserable amount of effort hunting you down." This voice was someone Lu Ming recognized far better than even I did. His entire frame began to shake violently at the sound. Seeing this pathetic display, I only found it utterly hilarious. "What's the matter? Don't tell me you can't even recognize the voice of your own wife anymore?" Gu Hanmo was universally recognized as an absolute powerhouse director in the industry, and no one in media wanted to pass up a massive, explosive scandal like this. Within the blink of an eye, the breaking news of her sudden return to the country shot straight to the top of the hot search charts. Simultaneously, the shocking revelation that the two of them had been legally married spread like absolute wildfire across the net. Lu Ming still didn't have the courage to spin around, his grip white-knuckling my arm, refusing to let go. "Who the hell are you? How on earth did you uncover all of this?" I flashed a dark smirk, completely evading his question. "Are you thrilled? I already explicitly warned you. The moment my little kitten died, I would never let this drop. I will ensure your life becomes a living hell." In reality, my connection with Gu Hanmo happened entirely by pure coincidence, following 3 failed attempts to conquer Shen Xiaowei's heart in accordance with the original script. Many plot details had completely faded from my memory. That was until 2 days ago, when a complete stranger bypassed security through a mutual acquaintance's contact channel, messaging me directly and cutting straight to the chase, demanding to know if I had seen Lu Ming. The system hovering beside me immediately chirped to alert me that this woman was none other than the powerhouse female lead of the original novel, Gu Hanmo. Gu Hanmo dropped a massive bombshell on me. Lu Ming was not merely her legal husband, but also a fugitive criminal who had gone completely off the grid after committing a major offense. Only then did the dark truth hit me. Lu Ming had been legally bound to Gu Hanmo for a very long time. His sudden return to crawl back to Shen Xiaowei was purely a desperate gamble, hoping her massive influence could bail him out. I violently twisted Lu Ming around to force him to face reality, forcing him to face Gu Hanmo head-on. "Go on, scram and reunite with your actual, legal wife." The entire room fell into a dead, suffocating silence. Gu Hanmo took long, authoritative strides directly toward him, intending to haul Lu Ming away on the spot, only to be violently intercepted by Shen Xiaowei, who had just returned with lunch. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Gu Hanmo slowly scanned her from head to toe several times, before letting out a devastatingly sarcastic sneer. "So many years have passed, and yet you're still completely obsessed with being Lu Ming's pathetic little simp, aren't you?" Shen Xiaowei's face darkened instantly as she snapped back. "This is a public hospital zone. You have absolutely no legal right to forcefully take him anywhere." Lu Ming death-gripped Shen Xiaowei's arm, refusing to let go for even a second. "Save me, Xiaowei. Please, you have to save me." Gu Hanmo didn't even bother wasting her breath arguing with him. She smoothly pulled out her phone and hit play on a video file. The footage captured a group of shady individuals huddled around a table, laughing hysterically. And sitting right in the center of that sketchy crowd was none other than Lu Ming. The setting was a dimly lit, secluded corner inside a chaotic bar. The floor and tables were completely cluttered with empty, discarded liquor bottles. Lu Ming's face was intensely flushed crimson from heavy drinking. He roared at the top of his lungs, slamming down a dice cup, only for the results to reveal a combination that completely ruined his bet. The dealer flashed a sinister smirk, casually extending an open palm toward him, demanding immediate payment. Gu Hanmo provided a chillingly calm narration over the playback of the video. By this exact point, Lu Ming had already gambled away over $3 million. completely draining his bank accounts to absolute zero. In the video, Lu Ming retained none of his usual gentle, idol-like charm. Instead, he was aggressively chain-smoking, his eyes wild with desperate helplessness. What the hell are you bastards rushing me for? I already told you my wife will cover the entire damn tab. She's a massively famous director, for crying out loud. She's a filthy, rich heiress from a prominent family. Do you seriously think she can't cough up a measly few million to clear my debt? However, loan sharks and underground gambling syndicates are notoriously brutal to deal with. The ring boss, seeing that he was continuously stalling and refusing to hand over the cash, leaned forward aggressively and sneered. Are you absolutely positive you want to play games and withhold the money right now? His heavily armed thugs instantly picked up on the cue, closing in on Lu Ming with predatory stares, just waiting for a single command to break his bones. The ring boss then casually produced a damning photograph from his pocket. It was a crystal-clear snapshot of Lu Ming entering a hotel room locked in an embrace with another woman. If you fail to settle the balance today, I absolutely cannot guarantee that this lovely little photo won't find its way straight into your wife's hands. In that exact fraction of a second, Lu Ming's face drained of all color, turning ghost white. He instinctively lashed out, desperately trying to snatch the incriminating photo. I already told you bastards, my wife is absolutely loaded. Just go to her and collect whatever the hell I owe you. But not a single soul in that room bought his pathetic words. The next second, the ring boss's thugs violently pinned Lu Ming flat against the table. You've got no cash, yet you still have the audacity to gamble with us. Chop off one of his hands as a lesson. Slammed against the hardwood, Lu Ming thrashed and shrieked in absolute hysterics. Amidst the chaotic, blind panic, he somehow managed to slip a blade out from someone's waistband. Stealing his nerves, he drove the weapon straight into a man's chest. A horrific spray of blood instantly splattered across half his face. Capitalizing on the crowd's stunned paralysis, he violently shoved through them and fled into the dark night. This explosive and censored video clip was leaked and completely circulated across all social media networks. The ongoing reality show broadcast was slapped with an emergency shutdown order. Lu Ming's face was completely bloodless as he death-gripped Shun Xiaowei's hands, weeping and howling in pure denial. That's not me. That's not who I am. This is all a massive fabrication. Those guys and I were actually close friends. I was just blacked out drunk, and things accidentally spun out of control. You have to believe me, Xiaowei. You're the only one who can save me. Shun Xiaowei decisively and violently shoved him away, leaving him to be cornered by Gu Hanmo. Amidst the absolute, chaotic mess, he was dragged, kicking, and screaming right out of the building. What was supposed to be the grand, highly anticipated comeback live stream for Lu Ming had instantly mutated into a live, high-profile criminal arrest. The massive public backlash raged relentlessly throughout the entire night. Countless insiders began aggressively exposing Lu Ming's toxic history, revealing how he used to act like a massive, entitled diva on movie sets. Damning footage of him, slapping production staff surfaced, and one by one, former colleagues stepped forward to publicly denounce him, exposing his utterly vile and corrupt moral character. Getting to witness a poetic downfall like this right before I go home is genuinely pure bliss. Lu Ming was immediately extradited by Gu Hanmo. Back across the border. What awaits him now is the absolute horror of a foreign prison, and barring any unforeseen miracles, he will spend the entire remainder of his pathetic life rotting behind bars. My remaining time before returning to my original world is down to a single day. Lately, Shun Xiaowei has been desperately trying to track me down, but she has absolutely no way of finding me. Lu Ming's catastrophic criminal scandal has completely dragged her down with him. Dozens of elite brand endorsements have ripped up their contracts, leaving a mountain of astronomical breach of contract fines waiting for her. The exact moment she was blacklisted and canceled by the entire industry. All her former enemies gleefully lined up to kick her while she was down. Rumors ran rampant across the net, accusing her of infidelity, and others exposed massive, illegal discrepancies in her taxes. She was forced to liquidate every single penny she earned over the past few years just to pay off the fines, leaving her with absolutely nothing to her name. Exactly 2 hours before my scheduled departure home, I forced myself to ignore the excruciating pain, checked out of the hospital alone, and caught a cab to the coastline to sit in silent reflection. I have always adored the ocean. The very first time I attempted to win over Shun Xiaowei's heart, it was at this exact location. Back then, I watched as Shun Xiaowei slowly and aimlessly drifted toward the edge of the crashing waves. It was exactly like tonight. The hour was incredibly late, and the beach was entirely deserted except for me. My pure instinct screamed that she was trying to end her own life before the system could even finish transmitting the world data and background information into my brain. I rushed forward into the dark water and dragged her to safety. Shun Xiaowei coughed up violent lungfuls of seawater, her face deeply flushed, her massive eyes looking entirely fragile and pathetic. It was only much later that I discovered this strikingly beautiful woman was none other than the famous Shun Xiaowei, the main female lead of a novel whom I was explicitly tasked to conquer. As I drifted into a deep daze, I suddenly noticed someone quietly taking a seat right beside me. It was Shun Xiaowei. In the span of just a single day, she had become profoundly haggard and broken. "Do you mind if I sit here with you?" she asked in a timid, fragile whisper. I casually nodded in a generous display. "Go ahead." I have absolutely no idea how much time slipped away, but she suddenly choked out, "I'm sorry." I was genuinely taken aback. I never anticipated those 3 specific words would ever pour from her arrogant lips, but I completely refused to tell her that it was all right. After all, the sheer cruelty and absolute heartlessness of her actions were unforgivable. Seeing my cold, dead silence, Shun Xiaowei continued, her voice trembling. "Last night, I had a vivid dream. I dreamed that you had actually attempted to win my heart twice before, and that this current life is already your 3rd attempt." She choked back a sob. "In that dream, our very first encounter happened right on this beach, where you dragged me from the ocean." As she spoke, a sudden, fragile smile broke across her face, her eyes filled with a desperate, hopeful longing as she stared intently toward me. "Tell me, don't you think this is a sign from the heavens, giving me a final chance to make things right and make it up to you?" I merely offer a mocking smirk. "Then you clearly haven't finished dreaming. Do you have any idea what actually transpired during those first 2 lifetimes?" Shun Xiaowei froze in absolute shock, forced to awkwardly and hesitantly nod her head. I calmly pressed on, "This is actually the 3rd consecutive lifetime where you chose Lu Ming and completely discarded me." Shun Xiaowei instantly, fiercely firing back. "How could that possibly be true? The person I love most desperately in this world has always been you." I was simply too exhausted and checked out to even bother arguing. "How much longer do I have before I officially return?" The system chimed in, answering on my behalf, exactly 1 hour and 30 minutes remaining. I watched as Shun Xiaowei abruptly shot straight up to her feet, taking massive strides as she bolted frantically into the distance. Half an hour later, right before my eyes, cluster after cluster of brilliant, blinding light suddenly erupted across the sky. An absolute barrage of massive, spectacular fireworks. Shun Xiaowei, her voice completely hoarse, shrieked at the top of her lungs, "Gu Jian, I am desperately in love with you." She had aggressively bought out an insane amount of pyrotechnics, sprinting like a mad woman, to ignite each and every single one of them. With only 1 final minute remaining on the clock, she was completely out of breath as she dashed back to my side, desperately pleading, "When you return to your world, will you at least carry a piece of me in your memories?" I calmly shook my head. "Most likely not." This display of fireworks is undeniably breathtaking. But honestly, even a beautiful memory like this is something I actively choose to wipe from my mind completely. 866. The fragile smile on Shun Xiaowei's lips gradually. The fragile smile on Shun Xiaowei's lips gradually crumbled, driven by the final, echoing countdown of the system. My physical form began to turn entirely translucent, pixelating away inch by inch. At the 10-second mark, Shun Xiaowei threw all remaining restraint to the wind, lunging forward to lock me in a suffocating embrace. Her tears cascading down relentlessly, soaking into my shoulder, while her lips endlessly choked out desperate apologies over and over again. At the 9-second mark, She frantically confessed to every single toxic, cruel mistake she had inflicted upon me. At the 8-second mark, she wailed, "I have absolutely no right to beg for your forgiveness. I only beg of you. Please don't let me become a ghost in your memory." At the 7-second mark, Gu Jian, the one and only genuinely pure thing I have ever accomplished in my pathetic life, was falling in love with you. At the 6-second mark, "I love you, Jian." And over the course of the final 5 seconds, no matter how hard she desperately squeezed her arms, or tried to anchor me down, my existence smoothly dissolved into nothingness right inside her grip. She sobbed hysterically, repeating her frantic declarations of love like a broken record. A mere millisecond before vanishing into thin air, I let out one final, icy statement. "Shen Xiaowei, I absolutely despise you. Therefore, my ultimate revenge is wiping you from my mind completely. Goodbye." With that, I plunged deeply into a silent, endless void, carried away by the system as it transported me straight back to my actual home. Gu Jian had truly, irrevocably vanished from the face of her reality. Shen Xiaowei stared down at her arms, watching as the man she loved shattered into a million glowing fragments of stardust, evaporating into the night breeze until nothing remained. She was left entirely alone, paralyzed in that empty, hollow posture of an embrace, weeping until her vocal cords were completely shredded and raw. Never in her wildest dreams had she ever imagined that completely losing someone could inflict such an agonizing, soul-crushing torment. If she had only possessed the foresight to see this catastrophic end tonight, she would have never thrown those petty, entitled tantrums, just to maliciously provoke and test my limits. Shen Xiaowei finally dragged herself up, aimlessly and sluggishly drifting back toward the empty shell of her home. Suddenly, a series of suspicious noises echoed right behind her, immediately followed by the frantic, heavy thud of rapid footsteps. Sensing the imminent danger, Shen Xiaowei panicked and began running for her life. Straight ahead, she sprinted until she was aggressively cornered into a pitch-black alleyway. The stalker glared at her with lethal eyes, a brutal knife glistening in his hand. Shen Xiaowei, completely unable to dodge or escape, choked out a terrified breath. "Who the hell are you people?" The masked assailants, keeping their faces entirely hidden, merely let out a chilling, sinister chuckle. "You don't need to know. Upon returning to my own world, I slept like a log until midday. The second I opened my bedroom door, I saw my mother, whom I hadn't seen in ages, warmly calling out to me to hurry up and join her for lunch. The system hadn't departed just yet. It solemnly informed me that right after I left, Shen Xiaowei was brutally ambushed and murdered on her way home. She met a devastatingly gruesome end, screaming my name with her final breath. I merely let out a soft, detached sigh, simply thinking it was a tragic shame for someone so young to lose their life in such a horrific manner. The system couldn't help but ask out of pure curiosity, "Do you actually still remember who she was?" I blinked my eyes in absolute indifference, feeling completely blank as I replied, "No, I draw a total blank. But honestly, if someone was that easy to forget, she definitely couldn't have been a decent person to begin with, right?" The system let out a massive sigh of relief, offering no further comment. After transferring an astronomical severance payout directly into my bank account, it vanished into the void, never to be seen again.